Hey, happy Saturday morning, people. We're here in the Warrior Poet Project with my man, my friend, Jason Ellis. We're hungover. We're hanging out. We got 30 minutes to talk shit. We don't know what we're going to say, but here we are. What's up, mate?
How you going?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
I wish I could say it's great to be here, but it's kind of painful, really.
Yeah, you know, you're kind of like 50% through the ringer here, you know?
I'll come good. I'll come good.
Yeah.
By the UFC, I think I'll be shining.
Yeah, that's it, man.
That's all I thought I had to make it to today.
And
You
then,
keep giving me surprise on emails where it's time to... I don't mind talking, dude. When you're like, hey, we're going to take a photo of your face, I'm like, you do not... As I told you, I was just throwing up, and nothing was coming out. But you know when you throw up, you have like that weird extra puffy face?
Yeah.
I'm like, dude.
it's just like getting that extra energy air out of there. You know, I think that's helpful sometimes, just dry heave.
I should have done it the night before, but I was too drunk to remember to do that.
Well, we had a fucking hell of a time on that On It podcast. We had a bunch of people up there. That was great.
Awesome.
Good time at your show. Good grand opening. Little dancing. You and TJ Dillashaw were fucking dancing your asses off last night. That's
that was
not
my
usual.
choice. That was not my choice at all. I'm not a guy that likes to dance at all, but when the champ, like, because I said no, he's like, come on, and I see him coming a mile away with my girlfriend. I'm like, what are you guys? Why is TJ even with my chick right now? And why are you dancing over here like you're going to do something with me? Come on, man, get up. I'm like, no, dude, I don't dance. Dude. Come on. I'm like, no. And then he just picked me up and like started dancing me like I was a child. So it was either like just be like manhandled for a long period of time on the dance floor or go with it and start jumping with him. Mm-hmm. So...
that worked. I saw that happen. I saw the impetus of that. Katie was like, I want Jason to get up and dance. And she saw TJ and she's like, oh, that'll work. It's like, TJ, you got to get Jason to go.
She tried to tell me it was all TJ's idea. What a bitch.
Yeah. I saw that shit happen.
I'm glad I did it though.
Hell yeah.
It's always a good dancing in a foreign place with the champ.
Yeah.
It's
why not?
Yeah, that can't.
You don't get to do that often.
No, maybe never.
Maybe
didn't
never.
see that coming. So yeah, I'll suck it up. I didn't want to go on the dance floor. There's a guy that smelled like BO out there, and I knew who it was. And we danced right next to him. And I was like, why are we going over to the smelly guy? Get me out of here.
Yeah. Well, you know, we just bought this yoga company. And
yogurt company?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah. You didn't know that? Black Swan Yoga.
Who? Black Swan Yoga? Yogurt?
And they're awesome. They're fucking best in the world, in my opinion.
Wait, so now On It sells that?
Well, we're going to keep their brand. They got 4 studios. And,
here?
In Austin, yeah. And then online, Black Swan Yoga TV, so people can take the yoga in their own home, just watching their instructors and stuff. And then we're going to franchise it out.
Wait, yoga?
Yoga.
Oh, I think it's yogurt. I'm like, what the hell? That's so weird for you to own a yogurt company. Okay, like yoga company.
Total human yogurt optimization.
I'm like, I don't think you even eat dairy, man. That's weird.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
But the point being there's not a lot of deodorant in yoga.
Oh, is that their game? They're stinky.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, like, there's natural deodorants that you could use that are good.
Yeah, you got one? Because I'm about to change.
Okay.
But I can't handle stinky. I actually don't get BO. The only time I went to Panama and decided that I would not shave or shower or anything for an entire 10 days, just live off the water. I'm like, if I'm on the water, like, how am I going to be stinky? So then after a week, one armpit started to smell like onions. And I could not stop. Fucking killed me. And I'm like, who cares, dude? I'm roughing it. I'm not shaving. Sure enough, like after like 7 days, I went to a store and got deodorant and shaved my fucking face. Like I couldn't pull it off. Even with no mirror. I was like, I don't want to see the mirror. I don't want to. If I don't see my face, why do I need to shave it? If I can't smell myself, why do I even care? But I was completely wrong. I was completely and utterly wrong.
Ingrained. It's just weird that one armpit BO.
Yeah, because I don't have 2.
Yeah.
I don't get BO. I remember my ex-wife used to get BO, and I would make fun of her because she's a girl and I'm a big dirty dude and I don't smell and you do. Mm-hmm. And then it was painful to discover that I have an onion armpit apparently.
After a while, you just got to let it marinate.
7 days. That's
7
the brew.
days. Yeah. And then this onion stew comes.
Just from one. I think Katie's armpit smells like it's like a good one. I didn't believe her at first. I think it was like chocolate or something. I can't remember what she said.
I came to the realization I really like the smell, like a pungent smell of pussy. And really? I realized that sometimes I can't tell the difference between armpits and pussy. And that came to me as a shock.
Yes, it should.
Yeah.
That's terrifying, dude.
Yeah. I realized I was
really
like,
smelly
oh, man.
vaginas?
I was like, that smells musky. That smells good. And I was like, wait, That's coming from her armpit.
You like real smelly vaginas?
Yeah, yeah. I
like
do.
over the top smelly?
I mean, like the musky smell. Yeah, yeah, but not like the fishy smell.
Okay. Okay.
You don't want a yeasty.
No.
No, nobody likes that.
No.
But strong. I like a strong brew. You know, like if it was a wine, if it was a wine,
fucking nasty.
if it was a wine, I'd like it
why.
to be Cabernet. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I don't-
like bold.
That's sort of I'm not really that much of a fan. I'm not like I'm super into odor. I remember this one girl, like a sex therapist. She used to be a Playboy pet or something. She was like a foreign chick. She came on my show when I was in New York, and she fucking stunk of BO. Like something strong, and she was older, but I really wanted to bone her, like really wanted to.
It was pheromones.
And she started to tell me that it's the pheromones. She doesn't use deodorant because what you're smelling right now is my sex. And I'm like, I'm actually believing her because I was just thinking before she said that how much I wanted to fuck her.
I know.
And she's saying that she smells like this, and I think she knew stuff about how. I think she might have taught me how to jerk off a vagina. Do you know how to do that? Like you pinch it instead of.
What? No.
Yeah. See, I had another sex therapist come on my show, and if you can pinch it with like you were gonna pinch a nipple kind of thing like that. You pinch the pussy in between your fingers and you jerk it off, and you can feel the clit in there, and it kind of bumps off in there. I jerked Katie off in the jacuzzi this morning, like through her
Nice.
bathing suit.
Fucking sex tips. I like that.
Yeah, no, to me, when I found out that you could do it, it's not a thing that you would actually like. I've only done it a couple times to completion because I wanted to see if you could do it. But it's like
it's a good
it's just a foreplay thing.
Yeah,
like now I can like to pinch my
just
chick's
kindling the fire.
pussy and like jerk it off. It's hilarious because you don't.
The tiniest little jerk
It's
off.
yeah, because it's just the itty bitty penis in there somewhere.
Yeah, like you were jerking off a baby.
No, that's not what I'm thinking when I'm doing it. But even smaller
Was that
than
too far, Lando?
It might have been. Pretty edgy.
Oh man, that's pretty hilarious. Yeah, but that's the smells. You know, the human animal. That's what we're programmed to do. We like that stuff. You know,
it's funny
how
it
comes out in different areas. You know, the armpits, vagina, that little musky butt smell. You know, everything happens.
I think there's like there's not even an argument. It's like everybody has their smell, but there's just wrong ones. And everybody can agree. Like when you're saying like a stinky vagina, I'm like, whoa, Aubrey, that's kind of weird, just so you know.
Yeah, there's the wrong one.
Because I'm thinking, it was like the first girl I actually hooked up with right when I got divorced. I was so insecure about women because of the ex-wife thing was just such a brutal thing for me. So she hit on me. I used to go to the raw vegan store across the street, and she worked there. And she just kept hitting on me, and I didn't even know she was hitting on me. She's like, we should go for a run sometime. And I'm like, yeah, okay. And then she was like, you know what? I don't really feel like running, but we could go to dinner. And that's when I said, are you hitting on me? She's like, I have been for like a week, you fucking idiot. And I'm like, oh, okay. Because I just really didn't think she was going to be into it. But she had like really crazy blowjob skills. And it was sort of a surprise. One, anybody that wanted to blow me, that was a surprise because I'd been down in the dumps on the apparently I'm hideous kind of thing. I don't want to blame anybody, but that's my lifestyle at that point. So for her to be that into me, I'm like, man, I didn't even see that from this girl. She seems so innocent, but she is cock hungry. Like you are a fiend. And then I try to like return the favor, and she grabs my head and like picks it back up, and I'm like, what? I'm like, oh, okay. Well, if that's the way you want it, I don't care.
She's a little self-conscious about
obviously because then when actual sex started happening, all of a sudden like something wafted up, and I'm like, whoa, what is that?
Yeah, there's the green light and there's the red light smell. There's
it was
the
an
green light
immediate
go where it's like the fucking hair bristles on your back and like all right, and then there's the red light like shit.
And
I got to get out of here.
And she's a hippie. She's a girl that like knows supplements and all this other stuff. And I thought a girl that's like that organic and only eats like raw fucking vegan food. You don't want to tend to that because I'm pretty sure there's like supplements and things you can do where you can get rid of it.
Yeah, or pack your vagina with goat yogurt. That actually works.
It really does?
Yeah, for the yeast and stuff.
See, I would have figured that kind of hippie person would have
figured
done
that
that.
stuff
But
out.
we fucked off and on for like a year or two, because it was never consistent because I could never deal with that. But sure enough, every time I'd be like, wow, still, why would you not get rid of that? Like, why? It's weird you're that horny, but yet so stinky down there, you know?
Yeah, that's funny how the human animal works. You know, that pleasure button for that smell is like one of those buttons for me that's like a really important button to hit. You know,
So
like
wait,
if there's
if you
no
don't smell it?
yeah, it's kind of a bummer. I'm telling you,
Wow.
it's kind of a bummer. I'm like, yeah, that was awesome, but it would have been nice if I could have fucking gotten that, because that really brings out some fucking other animal inside.
I like to smell black chicks.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, they smell differently. I used to have
Uh-huh.
a black girlfriend. I used to smell her all the time. Like
Yeah.
I used to just put my face in there and smell. She's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "You smell good. You smell funny. You smell black." And she knew it was a good thing because you know, what I mean, my face was in her pussy. It was like, "You smell black. I hate you." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, smell black. I really like it.
Oh man. So Jason, we gotta touch on a few motivational things here, man.
Okay,
So I wanna talk to you.
I've got some stuff for you.
I
So
know.
that works out.
You know, you're a great story for this because you've seen some lows, some real lows, and then you've seen the glory of some real highs and tasted like really some of the broadest spectrum. You know, I
The
talked about
luckiest
that.
way to be.
Hell yeah. Oh yeah. So talk to us about, you know, some of the lows and some of the highs and how expanding that spectrum kind of changes your perspective.
Right. Well, I think the biggest thing for me is in the last sort of 3 years, I knew I was molested when I was about 25 from taking a bunch of drugs. I had an imaginary friend that told me that I was molested as a child and that it was my father. And then that sort of started to come out, and my father was like...
So you had no recollection of that before
at all
that.
until I was 25.
Mm-hmm.
And then I took ecstasy and acid and you know, drank, and you know, I was awake until the next day, and that's when imaginary friend showed up.
Mm-hmm.
And then sure enough, everybody believed. My mum knew and was like, "Well, I thought he forgot. We were just going to try and move on with our lives. Like, hopefully he would never remember it." And so when she says that, I'm like, "You've got to be joking me."
Wow.
My whole life I watched like Oprah and be like, "Man, these poor bastards that get molested." You know what I mean?
Wow.
Like, I can't believe how bad that must be. Not having an inkling that I would be that guy. So then, you know, dealing with that was always at first, it was right when I was a pro skateboarder. So really, I was just 100 mile an hour and running. I never really stopped to analyze it. I kept going, you know, like I remember going, fuck, molested, heavy. And then I just never brought it up again. And I just went about my business because skateboarding was just, I was so in love with it that even like ground shattering information was just.
Couldn't derail you.
Yeah, it couldn't. So, you know, years go by, 40, I go to fucking rehab because I'm trying to get my wife back. And I'm like, I just didn't want to, I used to drink and do like a bunch of drugs and get hookers. Like I used to drink a different way. I just don't, like who's got cocaine and who's got prostitutes? Like
it wasn't fun though. Or was it fun?
Within an hour,
Yeah.
that's where I would go. I would drink aggressively, like not like a couple beers. I would drink like half a bottle of whiskey or a fucking vodka. And then I would start looking for coke. And then as soon as I got the coke, off to and this is like in Australia where these hookers are $50. They're all on heroin.
Yeah.
That's how I got on heroin. I started doing heroin with prostitutes. So I was like, so as soon as I started drinking again, I'm like, having children, I'm like, I am not.
So that was
gonna-
part of your like early 20s past, right?
Yeah.
The heroin, the
Yeah,
hookers,
yeah.
the blow
Yeah.
in Australia, still skateboarding,
Yeah.
still, you know, kind of
still
living
top
this
10 in the world.
fucking-
People had no idea.
Still fucking just wild existence at that
Yeah.
point. But then when you started feeling that creep back a little bit, the drinking, you
I
did
immediately put
You-
myself
yeah,
in
yeah.
rehab. Before I got
Nip
cocaine
it in the
or a
bud.
prostitute, I just went in. I was like, dude, I have too much to lose now.
Right.
Kids, the job. I mean, I'm truly a blessed individual. To piss this away, it's just like I'm not doing it. So anyway, I go in there and I start to, you know, recollect all the problems in my childhood, and I thought, you know, I might have something to do with my father passing away or my brother passing away, but you know, I did like therapy every day in there and started to like recollect some of the things that happened and my father's line of questioning in regards to being molested and just realized right there that it wasn't a fucking babysitter, it was him. You always knew it. So that was, and then I called my mom and my stepmom, and they were, one kind of suggested that they already knew that. So that really hurt me too, because
Sure.
now I'm like, well, why didn't you stop him? You know,
Yeah,
like, and
they're
why are you
supposed to
still with
protect
him?
you.
And why is everyone acting like before he died, we all loved him? Like, why the fuck are you guys letting me hang out with this guy? So then, once again, business, radio, I just write it off, man. I just move. You know what I mean? I talk about it on the radio. I'm like, look, I got molested. I found out it was my father yesterday. Shit happens, you know? Like, I don't I tell it on the radio because I feel like if someone's molested and they hear me powering on and doing my job, then that'll get them to keep going. Because if you give up, that's, as long as you don't give up, you can mope around every now and then because your dad molested you. But if you don't give up, there's plenty out there that's worth it. My bad days versus my good days, it's worth being alive.
Yep. But then
kind of trying not to face it, but I know subconsciously I still think about my father molesting me from time to time, and it's a dent. It fucks with you.
Well, sure, you walled it off, but it's still there. It's a little bit infected.
Exactly.
It's like an infection that's scabbed over, but it's not healed.
Yeah. So, and I'm in therapy every week, and I talk about it all the time, and I am getting past it. But I have not forgiven anybody. A very angry person that that there's a person inside me that is full of rage from all three of them, all the three adults around me that let this guy do that. Mm-hmm. So then I do this MDMA therapy because I hear about it from all the people that come on my show that know you, and I'm like, fuck it, I'm finally gonna do it. I talk to my therapist, and he's like, this is, and I know like actual therapists will try to tell you not to do everything like that. They just write it off because what if it cures you? You won't come back in anymore.
Right.
He's like, this actually for you because of your childhood, you need to get to the bottom of it. You need to get it done. So I was skeptical because it's just MDMA, man, and I did that when I was a kid. So you can't tell me that drugs are beneficial. This is just me running from stuff.
Yeah, it's drugs plus intent.
Right. So this was a completely different high. Like as soon as it kicked in, I sat on the couch and we just went straight into doing work. And he didn't say anything. He just sort of asked one question, but I already knew he was coming that day. I knew what I was trying to get to the bottom of. And immediately, as soon as it kicked in, I just became like a detective of my childhood and realized, not only did he do it once, he did it all the time. He used to do it until I was up until about 11. And he used to come into my bedroom from the other bedroom all the way to the other side of the house late at night with this heater, like a round heat lamp. And he would walk in it so it was dark. So all I could see was this big round heat lamp with like grills in it. And I remember holding on to the bottom underneath the mattress with my hands and my toes so my back was off the ground. So I was under the under the bed, holding myself off, and I always remembered that, but I thought I was having a nightmare and my dad was coming to see if I was okay.
Wow.
That's how I remembered it when I was a kid. So now I'm remembering it, and now I know, and I remember always being scared of the lamp. I'm like, the lamp just scared the fuck out of me. I don't know why.
Right.
And then remembering him coming with the lamp, and now I'm like under there going, please don't. Please don't. And I can hear myself saying it, and I'm like, you're not having a nightmare. You're telling the fucking lamp, please don't. You're telling your fucking father because he's got the lamp. And then I started to realize the things that he would do when so it happened until that day. That was the last time it happened because he realized, he heard me. Because all the other times I pretended I was asleep when he did it. So I just lied there, even though I know he knew I wasn't asleep.
Right.
But I never fucking said anything. I just let it happen. That time I was already under the mattress, and when he came into the room, because I saw the lamp come from the corridor because my bedroom door was open.
Yeah.
So right there, all of a sudden, because of this MDMA thing, first of all, the shock of knowing that, if you're not high, because I felt like a spiking urge to fucking tear something off, like kill somebody.
Yeah,
like you have been so unjustly fucking treated. But I'm okay because I'm high. I'm like, I'm not analyzing that. Let's go deeper. Let's fucking figure out more of this. So then I started to realize
serotonin sets this friendly environment for you to allow you to release that without your whole body going into
because otherwise I don't think that my body wouldn't give me the information because it doesn't think that I can take it.
And that's why the post-traumatic stress therapy with MDMA is so effective because it sets this backdrop that allows you to do this deeper work.
It was very obvious,
very safe environment.
The visuals that I was getting, and for me to be okay with them, it was very obvious that this was the only way it was ever going to get done. But the biggest thing to me, all that aside, was that really was. That's great for like a book or a horror movie, or everybody feels sorry for this guy kind of thing. But I just started to realize what he thought, and when he heard me say that, I'm a father. I would never touch my kids, but if my kids thought as me as a scary person and was actually that terrified, even if it didn't involve molestation, that would kill me. Like I scared my kid that much, and I could tell that he just realized that right there, and he never did it again to me. So I put the fear in him right there, and and then he felt bad. And then I started to realize, why did he do it? So I'm pretty sure his father did it to him.
Yeah.
You know, I stopped it. I'm not going to do it. I started to feel bad for him. I felt like his life was so bad, and he hated himself for being that guy, and he tortured himself. And then and he said, you know, Jace, between all the brothers, you know, you're the special one. And this was one of the hardest parts of me. I always thought that I was special when he told me that. I didn't know that he was telling me that because he was like a fucking creepy child molester that was in love with me.
Yeah.
So it was such a fucking kick to the dick. But I forgave him. I actually felt sorry for him. The people that did the most, I felt sorry for the most. So I felt more sorry for him than my stepmother, who I know for a fact now, she fucking knew he did that.
Yeah,
she knows for a fact he did that. And I'm pretty sure my fucking mum left him because he did that.
Yeah.
Like, and no one's ever told me any of this. This is me on the couch figuring it out and then accepting it and then feeling sorry for them. Like, to come out of this on the couch and feeling sorry for the 3 people that I wanted to murder, the weight off me, just in general, just now, and like, because it's life, man, drama. I'm a fucking divorced guy that's got 7,000 jobs. There's always something exploding around me. That's just the way life is. But now it's all tolerable because I don't have this giant weight of like a bunch of people that I want to kill. It's not in me anymore.
That forgiveness piece is so big. And your response of feeling sorry for them, that's actually really the only truly conscious response that is there, you know, because all of these people who do even bad things, you know, someone breaks into my house trying to fucking rape Whitney and kill me, I'm gonna shoot him, right? You know, just because I'm not gonna allow them to do that. But I shouldn't be angry at that person for doing that. The proper response is pity. Yeah. Like, I'm sorry that you were in such a terrible place and that you got so misguided that was the course of action that you took, because that person's higher self, that person's little child inside did not want to do that. That's, you know, people don't want to hurt other people, you know, so the only proper response is pity. And in that, it's forgiveness of the failings of humanity. You know, it's not that they couldn't have made another choice, but, you know, the response is pity. And then that forgiveness is freedom. You know, that really allows you to take the weight off. So.
It's amazing how already I've noticed, you know, I got this big Ellis Mania event and new producers and stuff that's like you know, my show is very important to me, and I'm really hard to deal with when it comes to it too, because it's my baby. Yeah. And if you fuck it up, it's basically like you're my babysitter and you didn't pick my kids up from school. So that's a pretty serious offense to me. So, but these days I just seem to be so much calmer and so much better at being a problem solver, which in my line of work, if I'm not good at being a problem solver, I shouldn't have this job, because I have too many problems to solve. Right. That's just what this game is. You know what I mean? I'm like this radio show that Sirius doesn't want to really get behind, but everybody who has Sirius listens to it. So it's like a constant muscle with these. They're like, you're the biggest show on Sirius, and we don't give a fuck. And I'm like, okay, guys, well, you know what I mean? One day you will. And, you know what I mean? Sure enough, every year it gets a little bigger. And, you know what I mean? Like this contract, I own half the channel now. You know, they didn't know who I was or what hour my show was on 2 years ago. Right. Like now the big guy calls me. Yeah. You know, it's a baby step, everyone. But anyway, all the problems with Ellis Mania, and people are like, I don't know what's going on. Oh, hell's breaking loose. And I'll look, dude, we can get this figured out. And I'll call and I'll calm them down and I'll solve the problem. And then I'll hang up the phone and go, I know me. And I know that 1 fucking week ago, a particular text message I received recently would have fucking set the world on fire. And I just called him and was like, look, dude, it's not as big a deal as you think. We can get by this. Yeah. And I'm hearing myself going, dude, this is on a good day, this is who you are. Let's try and stay here. I would say my only fear now is this going to wear off? Am I going to start using, is my brain going to bring up my father and my stepmother and my mother in another way to get me to hate them again? Because my biggest fear is, whenever good things happen, I'm scared to lose them. Right. You know, and I know that's from my little brother dying. At one point, I felt like I got a radio, I got a career, man, after skateboarding. This is fucking insane. Like, nobody thought you were going to exist. Everything's great. Kids, married, phone call, my little brother's dead. And I'm like, nah, man, that's not right for me. Like, I can't live like that. And it fucking killed me, man. Yeah. It still hurts me. But it's all... it's all worth dealing with, and it's just not that big of a deal anymore. It's like everything's. I'm even better with Katie. Like Katie gets stressed. I'm like, look, we can deal. It's not that big of a deal. Like,
that process of psychic cleansing is so important because we all have this little baggage and this bullshit that we keep inside. And even when it's not as dramatic as your story, you know, I had a weird situation. Again, if you compare in gravity, nothing like what you had to deal with, you know, but my father I would say one little thing, and then 2 days later, he would like corner me and blast me and just yell at me about something I did 2 days later, which was this weird fucking thing because I never knew when I did something wrong. So what it did is it created this part of me that was always judging and watching what I was thinking, right? And that was a weight because it kept me out of the present moment. It kept me from enjoying myself. I'd say something and be thinking about the 1,000 possible ways that individual could take that because my dad ingrained this pattern in me. I better fucking think about every possible way he could take this little thing I say so he doesn't yell at me and take his love away, which is what it felt like when you're a kid. All that anger is really just like, I don't love you anymore, which is what hurts the most.
I think that's good news to me. I think like having extra problems is not. I mean, maybe that might get me like an extra $100,000 out of my third book, but that's not worth it. Trust me. But just to know that, because of my show, everyone calls with problems, man. Everyone's got like stress and this PTS shit. Is fucking everybody has it. I have the troops on Twitter all the time suffering from that, and I'm like, yours doesn't matter what scale it's on. Would you like it to not exist in your life anymore? Because to me, sort of like I got diagnosed with heart disease, and then I got tests for 3 months. Turns out I don't have heart disease. But at one point, this cocksucker at Cedars-Sinai said I had fucking heart disease and I'll never lift weights, run, fight, or skate again. And then 3 months later, I can. I wanted to go to Cedars and go, hey, fuckhead. But I was too happy to even care. So it's kind of like doing the MDMA thing. I was like, why didn't I do this 10 years ago? You know what I mean? Like, I've been walking around with this, you know what I mean, this... I've used it to be beneficial in my life. I've used my anger and... That's
another great point, because it can be like a temporary superpower, right? Because that skill... So what happened with that thing that happened to me where I'm always judging, it allowed me to communicate very effectively because I could really read what I was going to say to people.
Right.
That superpower has been useful, but it's also been this weight and this burden. And a lot of the latest ayahuasca experiences I've been doing have been trying to unify that, like bring that judge that's always judging me and just say, hey, just come on back inside. It's all good. You know, you don't have to worry about everything you're saying and having somebody get mad at you or not like you anymore because you said something that they took the wrong way. And, you know, so harness the good from that, because all of this is like that pressure that, you know, the steel and the heat that forges one of these swords, like I just showed you. Like, you need that to forge the sharpest, greatest sword, you know, that kind of resistance. But at the same time, at a certain point, letting that go is going to really allow you to be free. So it's not about lamenting and regretting what happened. I mean, that made you who you are. But then at a certain point, you can make that decision to be like, I'm done with the baggage of this. I'll keep whatever strength I got from that, whatever tempered steel that created, but I'm going to let go of everything else and be, you know, freer for it.
I actually said that on the couch. I realized that all the heartache and all the stuff that gave me that drive. I always wanted to be somebody. I wanted the whole world to love me because I felt like nobody did. And I'll go above and beyond to get the world to love me.
Right.
And that worked out. Like, I got a lot of, I mean, I'm not a fucking athlete, man. I just loved skateboarding so much. I turned myself into a guy that could do somersaults on the ground. And I could not, I mean, I couldn't do a handstand. But skateboarding, I loved it, and I did it so much that my body just fucking turned athletical because I just worshipped it. And I felt like on the couch that day, I was like, I've had so many bad things and so many good things. It reminded me of a guy that was born rich, doesn't care about his car or his parents' house that he lives in. A guy that had nothing, that like a guy like me that like is gonna move to a house with a pool with a waterfall. It's different to me than the guy that was born with it. Like Nicole Richie, I love her. She's a really nice person, but she'll never understand what it's like to walk into a house and have a waterfall because she was born with a fucking waterfall. She doesn't give a shit. It's just a damn, like, Mercedes-Benz are just a fucking car to her. Me and a Mercedes-Benz is like, man, look what I have done with my life. You know what I mean? It's such an accomplishment. So now it's more... I'm far more fond of myself, like it's more
precious
because I'm very insecure, and I also think that I'm like the greatest. It's like two people in here all the time, but it was more leveled. I'm like I am positive I'm a good parent. I am positive that I you know, I mean I'm a good guy. And wow, Jason, That is quite a story, dude. You are a tough motherfucker to still be here after all that. And that instilled like real confidence, not like a lot of my confidence is bullshit. I convince myself that I can do anything, which means that I was extremely paranoid and not confident. Why was I yelling at myself to do it so much? Because I was fucking scared. Like, I'm the best. I'm the fucking best. Like, why am I saying that? Because I'm trying to convince myself that I'm the best. I would say it on the radio all the time. You got to know. You're the first one to know. No one else is going to know you're the best. You got to know. Even when you suck, you got to know you're the best. My first shows, I'm the fucking best guy ever on radio. And it's probably one of the worst radio shows I've ever heard. That was like 6 years ago. And I'm like, I'm spracking off 6 years ago about Stern. You know what I mean? Like, wait till they see me. Just like, I call myself the fucking future. Do you know what that means? When you're on satellite radio, you're saying that you're the next Howard Stern. And I was like DJing for Octane. Like,
yeah, but that's part of that neuro-linguistic programming. You say something like that enough, even if you don't necessarily, the impetus wasn't full belief, you believe it a little bit more and a little bit more. And it goes the converse, too. If you say, I'm a piece of shit, I suck,
you can go back
and
down.
You say that, you'll believe it a little bit. Even if you don't fully believe that you're a piece of shit, some part of you, having said that, will make that a reality.
Here is an important one that I learned before radio. In skateboarding, I was the best guy in Australia, Australasian champion 3 years in a row. At one point, I won street contests just because I was so good that I could beat street skaters on their own shit. Nobody in Australia was good yet. I was the first pro. I remember thinking maybe I'm too cocky and it's hard to relate to me because I'm so much better than everybody else. So I would shoot myself down around my friends and around my peers to try to fit in, which was the beginning of me losing my skateboard skills and drowning out. I know it because I started to like insult myself.
Yep.
Like mentally, yeah, I'm not that fucking good anyway. You know, like try to make somebody else in the room feel better. I don't want to say that I'm.
Yeah, because even though you didn't believe that, just hearing yourself say it made you believe it a little bit more and a little bit more.
It goes both ways.
Yeah.
You believe you're the best. You believe you're a piece of shit. They both.
No doubt.
They both work.
I want to go back to something you said about worrying about losing this perspective. And, you know, I think for me, as someone who's done all of these medicine journeys and stuff, you get these points of heightened consciousness. And at a certain point, you may, you know, it kind of goes in this cycle. You may lose it for a little while. But the beautiful thing is that that truth that you saw is infallible. And the pathway to get there, once you learn it, you can always fucking get back, you know? Right. And so that's one thing that, you know, I would say you can consistently be confident on is that those truths won't change. You know, that truth of forgiveness, that truth of the lightness that you feel, even if something for a weird little short stretch, you know, goes the other way and makes you think a different way, that truth is always waiting for you. Wow. And the pathways there are many. I mean, MDMA, ayahuasca, psilocybin, a lot of these with clinical trials that have shown it. You know, all of those above have.
You know, the doctor that helped me do this at the very end when I was like, okay, I'm kind of done now. And he's like, just one more thing. Do me a favor, one more thing. Go back on the couch and sort of get yourself back there and be you who you are now in that room. So when he comes in, you're there, not baby you. Mm. That made me feel like more secure that it's never going to go away because he's never going to get in that room ever again.
Nope.
It was actually funny to notice what I look like and what I've turned myself into. Like I'm realizing on the couch, I'm like, you designed yourself to beat your father. Like you're right. Here, you look like this to protect yourself from your father.
Yeah.
If it goes down, if he comes from behind, if he comes from anywhere, can you beat him? Yeah. Because you fucking made yourself that way. I am, like I don't have to be in the UFC. I just have to be tougher than my father for the rest of my life and then I'll be safe. It's so...
That's
like to
so
do all the
fucking,
therapy and then do the MDMA therapy. So I understand like how, you know, I mean, what's going on in my head. It's just,
that's
funny.
That's so fucking funny you say that because I had one of my first experiences. I started when I was 18 and I would go see the shaman in the mountains.
You started when you were 18?
Yeah.
Jesus.
With doing this journeys with this shaman in the mountains of Mexico. And I remember one time I went down there, I was about 20 and I did a 5-MeO DMT snuff, which is a different type of DMT, and it's a lot more emotionally based, a lot less of the chrysanthemum. And I remember it took me right to my most traumatic event with my father. It was where he cornered me in this hotel room in New York. And it was just like full, at 11 of his rage. Wasn't actually hitting me, but I would try to get up and he'd throw me back down on the bed and just yelling at me for maybe an hour. And I just kept saying, I love you, Dad. What are you doing? I love you, Dad. I love you, Dad. And he was talking to me about some other shit. And I remember I went right back there. And the shaman then, they were very hands off. So it wasn't like yours leading it through. But I remember then I was back as myself in that. And I was like, say that shit to me now. And at 20, right. I was big. I had long hair. I was probably bigger than I am now. I'd been training martial arts, and I knew I could kick my dad's ass. Right. And part of that, and I'd get in tattoos and some of that similar story. And I was smarter, like testing not only my body but my mind to be able to be ready for that. And I was like, try that shit now. Come on, try that. And that moment, I was fully there, but I was there as an adult, and I was ready to receive that and overcome it. And then from there, there was a massive healing that happened, because after that there was that forgiveness, because I saw my dad as like, he didn't want to hurt me. He was battling his own demons. So it came with this, I'm ready. I'm strong enough now. I'm never going to be afraid of you. Like, you will never dominate me like that ever again. I'm not afraid. And then the forgiveness came. But I think that's like an important, like, healing thing that happens with our parents. Like, you have to remove that element of fear. Like, you will never do that to me again. But then the next step is, but even still, I completely forgive you.
It's a big deal for being a parent, because it just tells me how sensitive children are on their way up, and how, like, obviously being a parent's a fucking very big responsibility, but it's almost a blessing to have this many issues and have so much work. People have worked on me. Like, to me, the way I see it is like, I'm a custom built car. I got like alloy shit in me and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, this thing is really, if you just left it the way it was when you bought it, it wouldn't be running anymore. But it's like it's a fucking hotted up race car. It's got all the shit in it now because it had to survive. It's sort of, so when I think about my kids and what I look like, I'm a fucking scary looking dude. You know what I mean? Like, what are my kids? Does that mean Tiger needs to be? Does he have to like get his whole face tattooed black or something? You know what I mean? Like, have I cursed this guy to be like the most metal man in the world? So it's like I'm so glad they're still young and that I'm going through this so fresh, because I believe my ex-wife is a very smart lady. I always felt good about that. I was like, look, if we break up, at least you're not a fucking ding dong. My kids have a really good shot. Yeah, we can both offer a lot. But now, even more so now, I feel like I'm a better parent than she is. I'm not trying to race her or anything, but because I have had so many things adjusted in my life that I know if you say this to your kid, they're going to do this. Like, if your girlfriend says this in front of you, if you treat your girlfriend this way, you know what I mean, all the things that you take for granted in front of your children, that's, that's like, they might not come back from that mistake. Like, it's so much more serious, but it's so much easier. I have so much more information, which brings... And
you're doing the work yourself.
Right. That means you know it too. I've always felt like that. Like, unfortunately, I can't really read anyway, but I've always said, like, I didn't read it in a book. I did it. The only advice I have for anybody, I didn't read it. I can tell you for sure. And that's why I think with the kids, I'm like, look, if you want to drink, you can drink, but here's what's going to happen. Yeah. And it's not maybe. This I've been for sure.
Heroin hookers.
I'll tell you what they all do and where they all go. And look at your daddy. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think there's like, they're so much more intelligent than I was, and with this base of, this boulder of mistakes that is around that can be like, look, you can trust your daddy. I'm not fucking, marijuana's a gateway to bullshit. Yeah. Not a fucking gate. You know what I mean? Like, I'm never gonna. Tell them the truth. And you got my blood, so you got to watch out. I'm ready for that conversation too. Like, you guys, it's not the same. Sure, your friend Johnny, he drinks and it's great. Yeah. You're an Ellis. Shit might be different for you. You might be okay, but there's a huge chance you might drink and go, this is the greatest thing I've ever had in my life. Oh, like, you've really got to watch it. So, but I'm there for that. I'm almost expecting the worst. I'm like, my oldest is 9, and I'm already like getting ready for if we have to go there, what I have to do to convince her otherwise. Yeah.
Well, brother, it's a beautiful thing watching this whole transformation happen, because as each of us do this work, it's great for ourselves, but the ripples extend beyond. It extends to our families. It extends to the people who listen, people listening right now. These ripples go on and on. So it's not just healing ourselves, it's healing the collective, you know, to a large degree.
The biggest thing besides having kids, it's the biggest thing I'll ever do. I see it more than ever. The radio show made me help people. When I realized that I helped anybody, that made my job so much, it gave me so much gratification. I mean, being a great skateboarder was more about just me being cool. Radio was like, you know, skateboarders like, hey man, you helped me make kickflips. I don't fucking know. It really wasn't that necessary. You know what I mean? This stuff is not as hard, but it's the most important thing I've ever done. There's people's lives that are forever changed in a positive way because of me. You know what I mean? And from knowing you and Joe and all the other, in training, MMA, the knowledge that I have now is even like it's triple. It's doubling like by the day now. Like the amount of information I have versus a year ago just tells me that in a year from now, I'll have a lot of info to give out to people in a positive manner.
Fuck yeah.
It's a good thing, man.
That's awesome, man. Man, we managed to go from jerking off vaginas to talking about some heavy shit. That's what I fucking love. That's what I was hoping for when I had you in here all hungover on a Saturday morning. I couldn't have planned this shit any better than this.
Yeah, I'm going to go get choked out by Keith Jardine.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Jason. Everybody, please follow him. Listen to him on Sirius. He's fucking hilarious, and he's one of my very good friends. Thank you, brother.
Thanks for having me.
Love you too, man. Later, everybody.